So this will be an introduction to how to create a new project from scratch, and also maybe how to create, if you have a project, a new analysis or clone an analysis from an existing analysis version. So here you see the main menu when you load up AVA360VR before you get into VR. So you can decide, for example, here we have, do you want to create a new project? Do you want to create a new analysis in a current project? Or do you want to look at your projects and possibly, as we'll see later on, how to clone an analysis version you've already created? So first we'll start with the new project. And if we click that, we'll get this new project dialog where we have some information to fill out. And if you move your mouse over, you'll get some tooltips coming up explaining about them. This one here is also important. So what we'll do is just look at a diagram now. And this diagram gives you some idea. It's rather complex, but it gives you some idea of the structure. And you may need to look at some of the other tutorials about projects and analyses and versions, or the folder structure for a project in AVA360VR. There are other tutorials to help you with those specifics, so I'm assuming that you've already seen those, or you will be seeing those. And here, if you look at this, is the My Projects. Okay, My Projects has a root folder, and the default is user documents and then AVA360VR projects, but this could be anywhere on your computer or on an SSD drive, which is the best place for it, a fast SSD drive. This root folder is what the Where is My Projects folder is asking. If we just go back, we'll see here, down here at the very bottom, My Projects folder. This is where you put all your projects, and we have an address here. If you click that, it'll ask you where is this folder, and this is where it could be under the particular place that we're storing this demo package at the moment. So once you've found that My Projects folder, which is this root folder, then you have to think, oh, what's my project name under that root? And that project name is the one that goes where your project will be stored in a subfolder of the root folder. And there you will get all your project information in all these folders here and subfolders, and that's where you'll store everything that you need to run your project. So if we just look back again, you'll see that's here, project name, the name of the folder where you'll store all project related files. And so that's the project folder. And then another question will be, what's your primary 360 video, your master 360 video? And that's the 360 video that will be for this analysis that's going to be created in the project. The one that is the 360 that you see all around you when you load up that analysis. But you can, of course, create another analysis which is a different 360. You don't have to have the same 360 in your analysis, and you could have several different cameras in your projects, different 360 cameras. And that here would be select 360 video, and if you click that, then it will ask you to find that video. And if that video is stored somewhere else, what it will do is copy that into the SIG 360, the video SIG 360 folder. It has to be an MP4 and in a standard codec, and so that video will be copied. If it's already there, it'll just leave it there if the project structure has already been created. But if it's a brand new project, then this structure will be created as soon as you, if we go back, you'll see as soon as we say create project here, after we've filled out all this information and we've got one more box to do, then create project will create that whole folder structure that we see here. And then you'll find that video has been copied, and then everything else you'll have to copy manually. And the last question is, what is the analysis name? So what are you going to call your first analysis in your project that you're creating? And that will, if you call it analysis is called analysis, then it will add a numbering for version control starting at 000, and every time you create a new version it will add 1 to that. So that in the diagram here is enter analysis name, and it gives you some clue on the tooltip. So first you need to decide where am I going to put stuff, and here once you've done that for your project, if you're creating a new project it's probably going to always be in the place here, so it's only have to do this once. Then you put your project name, then your analysis name, you find the video, it'll copy it into the right folder and create the whole structure that we see here, ready for you to add information. So all it basically does is put that video you're going to have as the primary or master 360 in this folder, and create a saves an analysis version, which will be analysis-000.save if you chose the name analysis. There shouldn't be any spaces in the name, so you have to use hyphens or dots to connect up each element. And that's will be your examples of analysis, different versions of it with that version numbering. There will be other little files created. You don't have to worry about that if you do use certain tools. The main thing is to get the idea that you need to decide, where am I keeping all my projects? What's the name of my project? What's the name of my first analysis? And you can create new analysis and then versions of those. And then what's my primary 360 for this analysis? In my first one in the project. You can create another analysis that will have a different 360 that's also in the same project with multicam type recordings. So hopefully it explains something of the hierarchical structure. Now let's go back and take a look at, if we did this and we press create project, it would create the project, load it up in VR with that 360 as the background, and with your analysis name as your first analysis. But if we return here and go back to the main menu, well, that's the new project, which we didn't complete because we don't want to open a project right now. You could also make a new analysis, and if you click that, you'll see that we are currently in the demo package and in that project folder, and you could search for a different project folder if you wanted. But we'll just stay here. Let's say we wanted to create, for example, in the Lego demo, we wanted to create a new analysis based on, for example, one of these 360 cameras. The other ones you see here are more to do with the actual tutorials, but these are real camera footage. So we could select one of those as our primary. This one here is on table 2 for group 1. This is the hidden table, and say create. And if we click create, it says, okay, you want to create a main video. The main video is this. What's the name? And if you give the name and say create, it will create in that project with that 360 that it's found in the 360 video folder. It'll create a new analysis and a version 000 of that. So that's a way of creating a new analysis in the current project. So you need to find the project under My Projects, and there's 6 here, and then choose which video you'd like to have as central. You could have Insta360 as well here. That's another camera. That's the one we're mainly using from almost all the Lego demo. But you could choose another one such that you get a better idea from another angle, from another 360 as your central. Of course, inside, once you load up a project, you can load up 360 mini-spheres of other cameras and then jump between them. But you can only draw on the master 360, so it's always best to decide which one you want for this type of analysis first. If we return, you'll see there's also existing projects, and if we click that, this shows the same structure, but rather than with a project like Lego Demo, we don't have the videos associated with that. What we have are the analysis versions that we have. And here you can see we have an analysis version for the Lego Demo 1. And there we see a clip. What we can do is, if we click this, clone analysis version, rather than loading it and then adding a new version number, we might have got onto version 7, and then we want to branch off and maybe continue on 7, 8, 9, but also have another version starting at 7 with a different name, and therefore start to create different versions of analysis or different analyses which have different versioning. And if we click clone, it will say what's the name of that new analysis, and it will take the current one, which you can see there is a tool open here. Then it will take that, and it will also be in the new analysis version that you've cloned, and that will have a different name and start at 000. So it's a way that you can reduplicate or clone different analysis versions at their current state, and then start working on those independently from the original, which still exists. So and that's you find, of course, in My Projects again. This is our standard project folder. So here you see that you can create a new project from scratch. You can create a new analysis within a current project, and you can clone an analysis version. So it gives you some very nice ways of working with the project and creating different versions outside of VR. And then inside VR, you'll be able to navigate that in the analysis mapping, for example. But you won't be able to do any creating of new things. Only every time you save, you'll get a new analysis version. But otherwise, you can't create a new analysis or a new project out in VR. You have to do it in this main menu. So hopefully that's given you an idea of several routes for creating a very large new project and then filling it out yourself manually in the right folders with the data that you've collected, or in a project you've already been working with, creating a new analysis or cloning an analysis version. So give that a go. You can try that in the demo package or start it already with your new data and see how that works.